Welcome to Pop-Up Camper Pro. I'm your host Derek Smith, and this is my son Jacob Smith. Today we're going to show you how to rebuild the 6311 direct drive crank assembly. I'll be installing all the parts, and I'll show you the order of installation. Jacob will be doing some zoom-in shots with the GoPro here to give you a bird's eye view of what we're building. If you're ready, let's get started. All right, we'll start with the housing, and we can see that the shaft bushing is already pressed into this housing. This is replaceable. It can get worn. If you need to replace it, you can drive them out with a block of wood and a 5-pound hammer and drive them back in the same manner. In this video, we're not going to go through those steps just because it makes a lot of noise. All right, first we'll install the ratchet pawl into this system. So we have our bolt. Goes in through the front. And here we can put our spring on, have that ready. Feeds in through that little hole. Goes around the bolt. Next we have our spacer bushing. That goes on, spring goes around it. Our ratchet pawl goes on next. Flat washer and 9/16 nut. And we'll go ahead and tighten this up, but not too tight. We need the system to swing freely. You can see that was a little too tight. Much better. All right, next we have our drive shaft, and we'll go ahead and assemble the order of components on this. First we have our clutch or pressure plate goes on. Next we have our ratchet pawl gear. And then we have our beveled washer. Now this washer is important that it rides inside this bearing housing. The beveled side faces me in this installation, flat side faces away. So beveled washer is going to go on like that. And we'll see if we have the ratchet pawl gear in the correct position. And we do. Whoops, jumped right out. So roll the pawl back, put it in, let it fall into the gear. In this step you want to hold everything together. Now we'll put our drive hub extension tube on. And before we do, if you can see inside here, the threads are good in this component, as are the second set of threads on this drive shaft. It's these threads and these inside threads that I talk about a lot in the videos related to compression and lift issues. Screw the tube on, make sure she's tight, and she is. And then we'll go ahead and install the components inside the tube. We start with a handle spring, drop it right in there. Next is a nylon washer. And then our flat washers. And they hit the mark. Now we'll put the 5/8 nut in. And I really should have changed my socket before I started this part. And we'll go ahead and tighten this up. All right. So this step, when you're installing it on the camper, typically you want to get that nut tight and then check the lift. It should, handle should turn about half a turn, then lift will engage, left, half a turn, lift disengages. Sometimes you just have to find the sweet spot. So if all the way tight doesn't quite get it, back the nut off a little bit and try it again until you find that sweet spot. When you find the sweet spot, that's when you want to add a little bit of Loctite. At the back of the crank assembly, next we'll install our spacer. Then the bearing housing is going to go on. First, we'll go ahead and put our bearing housing cup in. Snaps in there, and our 6311 thrust bearing. There's no open or close face on this one. So she goes in there. This slides over the drive shaft. And installed. Lastly, you put your coupler bushing, pin this to the drive shaft, and then the other hole and pin to the wiffle tree. You want to install your handle pin back into your drive hub extension tube. Just hammer this guy back in and install the cover bracket on the bottom of the assembly. 2 Tech screws going through at the side to hold this on. And that covers assembly of the 6311 direct drive crank assembly. I hope you found this helpful. Please subscribe to the channel and mash that notification bell to be alerted when more content is available. I will see you guys at the campground.